What's up,
We
Alex?
made it. We made it. We made it.
We did. I think we're a week behind, but that's okay. Like, I think we missed a week last week, but I was just flying back from Blade Show West.
Well,
Life was going
that's
on, and
I
so we're
kind
here
of
today.
I kind of figured that was kind of going to be the thing anyways cuz you were in Utah. So
Yep. Had a good
I
time.
I bet.
And I got to hang out with Eric, my buddy there, Blades and Bullets on Instagram. Super awesome. Like, and I've known him and met him and hung out with him before, but I got an extended. I stayed at his house the whole weekend, and so really got to know him way better. So yeah, even a cooler guy now that I got to spend a whole weekend with him. So super fun.
That's cool. He's got something of mine that or will
Which
be
is
mine.
super awesome. I sent
Yeah.
you that video. Like I cleaned it up. I wiped all the drool off, so it's back in
It
its
had a
case. It's
it had a
all
cool sound, right? It had a cool sound.
it
That's all
did
I
the
want to
sound.
know.
It is a very distinctive sound. I don't know if it's my favorite sound, but it's a very distinctive sound. It's awesome. You're gonna love it.
That's what she said. Let's
Yeah.
bring on our guest.
Bring on Michael here from Blink Blades.
Hello guys, how are you doing?
Welcome. So I'm really excited to have you here because I've been staring at your brand for a long time and I thought it was so cool, like your slogan of your whole brand, the little pornographic like or Playboy cat, like in pink. And then like the knife just had like such neutral, interesting lines. I always kind of wanted to try one of these. Thing is, I wanted every once in a while I saw one that came with like a green accents, and Dirk knows like it's my favorite color. Greens, so and then the satin blade ones were a little harder to find. So eventually through some communication, I got like a really nice Sphinx from Blink Blades with some green accents. So I always thought, now tell us more about this design. To me, it looks a little Persian. It's got a nice neutral handle. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's manufactured by We Knives. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, it's got those nice tolerances you'll find on like a lot of We Knives, and the blade is just super, super cool. Nice finish to it. So, and you've been around for years, for a while, right?
I think I kind of like announced the blade. Maybe it was like 2018.
Yeah.
I did like the first post. That's when I got like the initial prototype that I kind of did. So yeah, it's been a while. I think we've done a couple runs of like the original style there, and then there was one run of Tonto blade shapes, which were pretty limited and really hard to find now. I feel like that's what I get the most messages for now. I was like, "Oh, I want a Tonto." It's like, "Well, I'm sorry, I don't have any more," and maybe someday that'd be a thing. But yeah,
Right.
it'd be cool to do more. Honestly, like the biggest thing is just like getting the capital up. It's kind of like a side thing for me, right?
Yeah,
So like,
for sure.
it's like, okay, if I'm gonna do another run of knives, it's gonna be a big investment to get it going, and so yeah, it's like you need a lot of interest going into it before you take the risk again. Yeah, so I don't know, I guess the design itself was kind of just like a wish list thing for me when I started getting into knives.
Okay.
It was kind of like everything was so big and bulky and huge flippers and like weighed like 6 pounds and had like quarter-inch blade stock. I'm like, what is going on with this stuff right now? So like that was kind of just I don't see this anywhere. No one's really making this at this time, and it doesn't seem like anyone is going to. There was like a few, what was it? Like the Benchmade 707, maybe it was. I can't remember exactly. But it was a smaller knife, and it was kind of like that. It was like, okay, here's one, but then they stopped making those at some point anyway. So it's kind of like, okay, what? I can't really buy what I want. Let me get a little crazy and talk to some companies, see if someone's
Yeah.
willing to make what I want. And
Okay.
yeah, so that's kind of what it was. So it's kind of like, okay, what do I want? I want super streamlined. I want it to like be smooth in my pocket. I want to put my hand in and not like cut myself on like a flipper tab that's sticking out, and
Mm-hmm.
and then I just like really like that whole like it closes in like perfectly flat, like
Oh
I
yeah.
kind of like I enjoyed that and stuff like
Yep.
that. Um, so it's just kind of stuff like that. Like, okay, what do I want to see when I look at a knife? And that's kind of where it came from. So it took a few tries. Like this one here is the original prototype, and like being new at designing, like I clearly forgot some stuff like the in or the cutout so you can actually get the thing to unlock, there's none of
Oh,
that in
okay.
there,
Yeah.
so it's like little things like that,
Little
or
details.
yeah, little details, or on like the final one, I added a small cutout underneath the pocket clip so it doesn't
Okay.
rest on the blade lock, like the lock
Right.
cutout. So like with the small knife, it's like with this thing, if your hand touches it, it's like, oh, what the heck? It's so stuck.
Mm-hmm.
But with the ones that I actually ended up making and selling, like that little detail made a huge difference. You can actually unlock it with your hand on the pocket clip and stuff like that. It's like, oh, okay, that was cool. But yeah, so it was kind of just a wish list knife for me at the time. That's pretty much how it came about, I'd say.
No, that's awesome. And yeah, back in the 2018 and that time frame, big overbuilt stuff was like the thing.
Yeah.
And I was into the whole overbuilt thing and kind of sort of still am, but I like some sleek and slim knives also. So I think we have like the industry as a whole has evolved,
Mhm.
and it's moving away from the big overbuilt stuff. I mean, there's still companies out there making stuff,
Yeah.
but I don't think that's the hot topic anymore.
I would
Yeah,
definitely agree.
this is one of the ones with the pocket clip, like you were talking about, that doesn't rest on the lock bar.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. It's very subtle, like you couldn't really tell unless you told me that. Like it's nice detail.
Yeah, it's like I feel like a lot of people don't really notice that, but if you like if you tried to use my original one, you'd be like, why is this so much harder to unlock than mine?
Right.
Like, oh, that's it.
So for
Well,
me,
definitely, some knives are definitely more susceptible to lock bar pressure. Like
well, for
Shirogorov
for
is a
me,
good
for me,
one.
the cool thing about this knife was the flipper. The flipper tab, like where you put it, was one of the selling points for me that I thought was kind of neat. It really, like between like ones that kind of like light switch and the other ones, and it's just got like a nice like positive angle of where it sits.
Mm-hmm.
So I always thought this corner was always the best place for any of a flipper to be. Back here, you start, the further back you go, you start to lose leverage, I think.
Right.
So having it right here, I thought was kind of neat. And then you deliberately kind of got to go up more towards the front, the way the ramp is, and it's got a little bit of jimping, right? And then it just snaps open pretty easily. And you can see I have my finger on the pocket clip too, and even slightly on the lock bar.
Mm-hmm.
It's really easy to deploy. And then on the inside of the lock bar, you got all that reliefing right here, right?
Yeah.
So even for someone like me that likes a smaller knife, I can get my finger in there really easily, even my thumb, to disengage the lock bar. So there's a lot of really cool things about this knife. Another thing too is like uh the neutral handle design, the way that it doesn't have a bunch of grooves in it or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a huge thing for me because I love neutral handles. So especially in a more compact knife like this where I'll hold it in this manner, but somebody else may hold it a little further back if it's Dirk, who's got maybe larger hands, right? Like it gives you the ability to kind of choose where you hold it without having finger grooves kind of telling you where to hold it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I like neutral handles like this. But it does look cool. It's like when you look at it from the side profile, other than the little flipper tab there, you're kind of like, where the hell's the blade? Right?
Right.
Like there's no blade like hanging out, which is, I think that makes it really cool. So
So like part of it when I was kind of designing it, I think I had zero tolerance 0450 or something, I think it was. It's like it's similar like height
Oh yeah.
wise, but it's a little bigger, kind of pointier. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember I was like at somewhere with like my grandma, and I pulled it out and flipped it open. She's like, "Whoa, what is that?" So like, I was like, part of it was like, okay, I want a knife that if I pull out and my grandma sees me open this knife, she's not going to be like, "Whoa, that's like a scary, super dangerous weapon,"
Right.
right? It's like a
Yeah.
pretty, I don't know, it's got a little bit of like old-timey look 'cause it's so smooth and like simple and like there's nothing sticking out like you're saying. It doesn't have a lot of danger to it, I guess was part of it. Just kind of like
Mm-hmm.
this is just something you can use. You can bring it to work. If you're opening a package at work, your workmates aren't gonna be like, "Whoa, what the heck, man? What are you bringing knives to work
Right.
for?" Right? So that was definitely a part of the design idea. Just keeping it friendly, I guess. I don't know how better to say
Yeah,
it than
no, and I
that.
think that's a great point. I mean, back then in 18, everybody's still working in the office, right?
Yep.
I mean, I've been a work from home person since long before COVID and all that, but like before then, everybody was working in the office. And so when you pull out a big 4-inch bladed, you know, arm hacker to
Yeah.
open up your, package at your desk, people freak out. So
Would
I
you
think it's
pass
good
it
to
to your
have.
average mom is the question, right? Like,
Yeah.
would
Right.
you would you deploy this and say, "Here, mom, like open your package with it"?
Yep.
If not, then and minus those moms that like mine rides a Harley back in the day, so
Right.
she'd probably be like, "Oh, cool." But I'm talking about the average mom.
Average.
Would you hand this to your friend's mom? How about that?
Yeah.
Right.
And this is okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, that was kind of part of it. Just like I mean, it feels good in your hand too. Like I've honestly like cut a ton of cardboard, like thick cardboard. Like I'm really wrenching on the thing, and
Yeah.
I mean, it never really gave me any trouble. Like I never had any hot spots or anything. I was like, okay, so it worked in that sense, which was kind of a happy, lucky accident, right? Like, I mean, it was kind of
Hmm.
a design first, and then it turned out it worked situation. But yeah, so it was like, okay, it works, but then also it looks simpler. It looks kind of calm and friendly, and I don't know, and it's kind of modern too, right? It's kind of sleek, nothing
Yep.
crazy showing. Like, it doesn't have to be too wild to just look good, just how it is.
I like
Sometimes
that.
less is more.
Yeah,
And
that
Yep.
was
just
And
clean and sleek
that's
is
yep.
much more powerful than a lot of fancy stuff that gets in the way.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
kind of the
exactly.
idea. And I mean, honestly, like I have nothing against giant knives either. Like I think they're
Right.
super cool. Like I wouldn't be opposed to them. It's just that wasn't what would work in my daily life as much. So it was like I'm going to the office back then at the time, and I have to carry other stuff in my pockets as well. And like it's like I don't need to have I think when I first started carrying, I think I still had my phone and my knife in the same pocket, which was probably stupid anyways. But like it was so
Yeah.
much easier to put it in with this design and stuff
Right.
like that. It's shared space, and I only have so many pockets. I wasn't like wearing bags and stuff. I'm sure some people do that, but it wasn't my personal look. So I had two pockets and I need to get everything in there. So a big knife just wasn't like an option, I guess is how it was kind of came to be.
I try to think of when am I going where, and I'll pick a knife for that day and occasion. But I'm a one knife guy. Like I know some people like smuggle them in their taint and do all this other stuff, like and have like six knives on them. I just like Lynn Thompson. Um, but
Hmm.
I always pick just one. So if I'm gonna be at work, like because like the guys I work with collect knives, like maybe I'll bring something fancy and
Yeah.
and something like that. But if I'm going to like my with my family and we're going to the in-laws, maybe I'll bring something like this, right?
Hmm.
Because the anything bigger than that, and it's you know Friday the 13th tone starts to go in their heads. It's you're like, is Alex okay? Like, did you
Right.
see that thing that he pulled out the other day? So yeah.
Yeah, I'm big also on carrying the right knife for the right situation.
Yep.
You know, so I mean, I have a variety of sizes and shapes and all this stuff. And, you know, if I'm going to an outdoor barbecue with some knife guys, I'll bring something cool and fancy. If I'm going to an office, like when I'm going to New York next week for work, I'm going to take something a little more subdued because those guys don't know me over there.
Yeah.
That's an office I've never been to. Like, so I don't want to pull something out that's going to scare, you know, and become a thing, right? Plus, well, it's New York, and
Yeah, I know.
I think there's
feel
concerns and stuff there. I got to look into, you know, some stuff, but so I do try to pick the right thing for the right environment that you're going to.
Definitely. You don't want to be the scary knife guy with the people you don't know, and they're sending like messages to HR.
Exactly.
Bring
Yeah,
a huge knife to work.
I want to be that guy.
I mean,
that guy.
I don't want to be that guy. I like to
You
be
gotta know
pretty
your audience,
low.
right?
He's like, the scary knife guy is Alex. Like, yes.
Yeah,
think
I mean, that's
Yes.
fine for me because I work from home. So I
Yeah.
guess it's okay. I can be that scary knife guy, and you know, some of my coworkers and stuff follow my channel and my Instagram and Facebook, so they know that I'm like a crazy knife guy. But so yeah, you know, you just want to play it kind of cool when you're at an office.
Yeah.
Well,
It probably
keep in
depends on
mind
where you
my
work
boss.
too, right?
Well,
My
yeah,
boss-
it depends on where you work and who you work with.
My boss Mark has like a $10,000 like meteorite Marfion custom SOCOM.
Right.
Like he's a collector, so
Yep.
like there is no way, no matter how big
There's
the
not
knife
issues
cut,
there.
there's no issue. Like I could pull out, and I've pulled out like the Sablia. It's like 4.25
Right.
inch blade and stuff like that. Like it's no problem. As a matter of fact, I get pocket checked by some customers
Wow.
and wrist checked. So, you know, like it's not like that's another cool thing about where I work, right? Like,
Yep.
just can be me.
Exactly. So James, I
Yeah.
did see your comment. I don't know if I'm making it to CCKS or not right now, just because of some work
Most
stuff.
likely will.
And you are or you are not?
Most likely, yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna try to come down for one day. My goal was really to do the Friday Night Blade Affair and all that stuff, but with going to Blade West, with going to New York, I think I'm just gonna sneak down. I don't know if I'm gonna fly or drive. I may just drive down Friday night, go to the show Saturday, and then just
Saturday
bug
for
out
sure.
Sunday. So
Yeah.
it's kind of my plan, but I don't know yet. I may fly. I'm not sure. Professor EDC, what is going on, man? It's been a little while. Hopefully you're doing good. But yeah, CCKS is coming. If anybody's going, let us know. Let me know. I try to fly pretty kind of under the radar when I go to shows. Like I ran into so many people at Blade West that didn't even recognize me. I walked right past them because I didn't necessarily want to talk to them. So I just kept walking. It was totally awesome.
Yeah.
Not all bad.
I have a few of those, but you know.
So
I'll probably see you there, James.
So yeah, you'll probably see Alex for sure. And my buddy Tristan's going to be there, and I'm trying to hook up with him, but I don't know. We'll see. I'll keep you guys posted. I can't go to everything. Just bought a house, so now I'm kind of broke-ish. I'm still recovering from the down payment and everything.
Hey, Knife Sarge is in the house.
I did get to meet him and hang out with him a little bit at Blade West, which was super cool.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. Hung out with him for a little bit. He had picked up some blade steel, and we walked around the show a little bit. Hung out with Mark Begg and
that's cool.
Luck Knives, kind of all at the same time there. And so yeah, it was a good time. And then we kind of got separated because I went to go check with my guys to see if they were going to lunch, and then all of a sudden I turned around and Mike was gone, and he messaged me and says, "Hey, did you go to lunch?" Like, so. Didn't really get to say goodbye. Sorry about that.
I call Mike the Knife Sarge.
You go spend family time, Professor.
I like that freaking name. The Knife Sergeant was a great channel
That was
name.
a great
Like
name. He shouldn't have changed it.
I love that name. And you know,
Mhm.
he's got like chevrons. Obviously, there's like kind of like three-ish, so that's Sergeant.
I know,
So
but
like, you know, come on,
he
Luck
luck knives now,
Knives.
so whatever. He gonna change it again. How many times you change your channel name? So you're now one.
Once, once,
Just saying.
once.
All right. So for Blink Blaze, is there anything new on the horizon? Are you working on a different design? Where are you at with what you're doing?
So yeah, because
So yeah.
you've had that design since you said like 2018, right?
Yep. So I just tried to do like a G10 version. We did like a
I saw
pre-order.
that.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't getting as much interest as I hoped, so I had to pull the plug on that just for now. I don't know. I think part of it is, I mean, Wii's been awesome for me, but they have really high minimum orders. So doing a run requires like a lot of money. So with like the pre-orders I was getting, I was like, it's going to be a huge chunk of money from me, and
Did we
I just
lose
say I
him?
can afford that right now, right? Um, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna pull the plug now before it gets like too far into this. And maybe I'll try and find like look at some other OEMs and maybe just see if other people have some lower MOQs. Maybe that might be a way I can do this. Otherwise, um, I've been like throwing out the idea like as I've gone, maybe making like a slightly bigger version. It's kind of been just a thing I've heard from people. Um, I had I have it here somewhere. Yeah. When I did the very first run, I was like, hey, guys, can you just take it and multiply everything by like 30%? Just make it bigger. So I got this like
Yeah.
monster one,
Oh
which here, let me
wow,
hold up a little one. Here's a regular one. Okay.
Yes.
dude.
But so like
Now we're talking more my language.
but the problem was I didn't like specify certain things. So like it's got a monster pocket clip on it. Like it's just like
Yes,
huge and
But that's
the lock,
okay.
but
that's
it's so
awesome, dude.
clunky. I mean, it's got its own charm with like the thunk noise it's making.
Yeah.
Dude, I
Um,
want that. So there's your answer, man.
There you
That
go.
is
I
the answer
mean,
right there.
that's more my size.
yeah, well, so here's the thing. Like I did like kind of a middle size now. Like I've had them. This
Okay.
camera angle super weird. Here's like the one I just tried, the last one. So you see, it's a little bigger. It kept some
Okay.
of the sleekness. Let's see if I can stack them without dropping them here. Nope, that's not gonna work either. Hold on. We'll get this eventually. Ooh, there we go. So you can kind of see it's a little
Nice.
longer, fairly similar like height.
Yeah.
It fits like your hand a lot better, I'd say. Also, I did a different blade shape just because I try stuff when I do these
Dude,
prototypes.
I like
Okay.
that. I
A
like
little
that.
more, what's that like? Man, what? This is so far over here. This is weird. I feel like I'm like
I know it
way to
is a
the
little
side of my
awkward.
camera.
Yeah, it is a little
Yeah.
awkward.
It's kind of what is that? Persian almost, like with
A
the
little
kind of
more
Yeah.
Persian-ish.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Dude,
Um,
Persian is one of my favorite blade styles. That's why I'm smiling right now. I'm like,
yeah,
man, that's perfect because it's got a very usable tip. Like
yeah. It's
that's a
definitely
super cool
a
design.
little pointier was kind of what I was hoping for. Um, But yeah, so like you can see, like though it kept like a what I would say is a pocket clip that actually is gonna fit in your pocket and not like stick out like massive. I mean, the
I like
pocket
the
clip
big
on
one.
that thing's
I
so
like
big.
the big one. I like the
That
big one.
I
huge
like
pocket
that big
clip.
one.
Look how
Yeah,
big
I
that
like the
is.
big
The
one, man.
problem is if you made the big one, then I'd have to get the medium one, then I'd have to get the small one because I have
Yeah,
this OCD thing and I'd have to have all sizes.
yeah. I mean,
So,
it's not all bad, right? It's good to have a set.
Well, it's good for you.
Yeah, true.
It's not so good for my checkbook, but
dude, why have these things? Why haven't you put these things on order yet?
Mostly just timing, like with trying to decide what should I do next. I was kind of hoping to do like a lower price one to get it out to more people. I just felt like
mm,
I've been at like the 250 price point ish, right? For so
right.
long. And it's like, man, I just feel like when I meet a random person, like I feel like a lot of people see the cat, like, oh, what's that? That's super cool.
Yeah,
And I'm like, well, I sell knives. And like, oh, that's sweet. What is it? And I tell them, they're like, whoa, $250. That's crazy. And I'm like, well, it's expensive, but there's reasons it costs that. And it's not that wild in the knife world. But yeah, for like
But yeah,
right.
but these are not people that shop on Blade HQ. So
exactly. But so I was
yeah.
thinking, okay, well,
Yeah.
if I could get a slightly lower price point, like then you might
Oh, I
start
agree.
converting people like that, right? Where they're like, "Oh, this is super cool," and like the knife is awesome, but and then it's also like, "Oh, I mean, maybe I can swing like $100 versus 250, right?" It's like a totally different level, and
It
I mean,
is, but we don't. You don't
But
need to cater
why
to the
worry about
$100 people.
no,
yeah, why cater to that crowd? Because the crowd that'll buy the big one,
I see where you're going. You just want the big
it's the one.
one.
Well, they're the ones that are gonna buy it. That's what
I
I'm
mean, Luck
saying.
Luck
Like,
wants
look,
one, Dirk wants
you
one,
have
Alex
three
wants one. So
sold.
there's three.
You
All
already
right, well,
have
you guys
three
want three.
sold.
I mean, you guys want the massive pocket
I'm
clip and everything, right?
I'm guessing that
Yeah,
Louis he's in
yeah.
on the THR. I'm just going to say he's in on the big one too. So
The
there's
big
4
one.
people.
I
Yeah, the
mean,
massive pocket clip.
as
You
as
see,
the
like,
person holding it, this definitely feels more comfortable for something you're gonna want to use. You go to grab a knife, you're like, okay, that fits. Like I'm gonna actually be able to cut something. You pull this thing out, you're like, man, it's like, where the heck am I
well,
going?
but
It's
Well,
here's the
wait a
thing.
second. You said some things here. Hold on.
all right. Let's hear
You
it. What
said
am
it
I?
felt comfortable in the hand and that you'd actually cut something and be practical. Practical has nothing to do with knife cutting.
Okay, I
Okay, let's
messed
just
up
get
there.
that out the window right now. That has nothing to do with it. We like what we like, and we carry some. I can speak for myself. I carried when I went to CCKS last year with Alex a 2.5 pound pocket knife in my pocket, and the clip was about. I think the pocket clip's what 5.5 inches.
Oh,
The
all right,
The
got that
Peacemaker.
beat.
And then when
The
I went to Blade
Peacemaker.
West, I carried around the my buddy Tony. I carried at Blade West. I carried the Homosaurus, which is like a 5 3/4 inch blade, and the pocket clip's about 4.5 inches.
See, the
Alright.
thing about the Peacemaker, you're not worried about getting stabbed by it. You're just worried about getting hit by it. It's
Yeah. Let me grab it. You guys talk. Let me grab it. It's right back here.
dude, yeah, the Peacemaker is it's got dimensions of its own when it comes to knives, that's for sure.
All right. So CCKS last year was the Peacemaker.
Oh yeah, I follow that guy.
Okay,
That's right.
Phil Harvey Peacemaker.
Yeah. Yes.
The
God.
folding shovel.
So yeah, there's no stabbing there. You just get
There's no
like,
stabbing.
You get like instant death by concussion.
Yeah, I
and
think
it's
that's
the 3/8 inch blade stock.
yeah, you're like as thick as the
The blade is as thick as your knife.
yeah, easily.
Okay. And then this year for Blade West, I thought I'd be more practical
Ah, yeah, perfect.
with the Homosaurus. Okay.
Jeez.
It's
seen
about
those those
12.
drop shut super easily. You just chop your finger right off if
Oh,
you
yeah.
don't get
Well,
it out of
the
the way
Peacemaker
there.
is
Oh yeah.
Peacemaker is more drop shut. This
Well,
one is not as bad, but yeah.
The ones that were bad, Dirk, were the Reese Whelan ones. Remember those?
Oh,
that
the
you
Reese
sent me
Whelans,
those?
yeah, with their
Those were
and they also had like
guillotines.
1/2 inch blade stock. He also made some that was
Yeah.
a 1 inch blade stock. I
Yeah,
never
dude,
owned
the
the
Reese.
1 inch blade stock one.
Those were
That-
super cool.
That's
I
just
should have bought
ridiculous.
those, man.
I should have kept them and not sold them.
I never said anything when you said you were gonna sell those, and I'm like, but I kept actually like going in my head, should I just buy them? Like, I kind of like those things.
I do miss the fatty Tonto. It had Tonto blade.
Yeah.
It was, I think those were 3/8 inch blade stock on those ones. But they were much more pocketable than the Peacemaker. So yeah, I'm one of those guys that was heavy into the overbuilt, crazy knife world. And obviously I still have some left over from that era.
I mean, they're super cool. Like they're they're probably the best to just look at from
They
like
are.
someone
I don't
else's perspective,
carry.
right?
Yeah, it's not like I'm carrying around the Peacemaker, but the Peacemaker is great for shows because the pocket clip is so far forward. So when it's in your pocket, the pocket clip, here's the edge of your pocket, and the pocket clip is way over here in the front. So it really stands out as you're walking around. People are like, dude, what is in your pocket? Like, so it's a super big conversation starter.
It's a big ass banana. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yes. So Luck has a good question here. Are knives actually in stock on the site, or are they pre-order, or what is the deal with that?
Yeah,
Good question.
you can get the like classic Sphinx. You can
Yep.
get it in the black, or you can get it like Alex has with a uncoated stonewash blade.
Gotcha.
And then I have a couple. I think I'm under 10 of the anodized purple with DLC blade as well. There's a few of these left. So those are all
That's
in
a good
stock.
combination. That's a
Those
good
are pretty cool.
These ones are I like a lot. That's kind of where this guy did the purple, and I wanted to see how it looked with the stone washed on there, you know.
Right.
But yeah, so there's a few of those left. But yeah, I have plenty of the original like black DLC with either DLC blade or non-DLC blade. I think I put them on sale too. I think they're $20 off or something right now, just because I put it on when I was doing the pre-order. I put those on there as well in case
Okay.
someone was interested in that. But so yeah, so if people are excited about that, definitely check
Yep.
it out.
Okay.
But I did not put the these guys on sale just because there's so few left, and seems like whenever I run out of something, that's when everyone wants it.
Well, yeah, it's that whole FOMO, the fear of missing out. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, there's 5 left. I better just buy one.
Yeah, or even that's like what happened with the Tonto too. It took me like I thought they were super cool. I don't know. I didn't grab one. Did I? No, shoot, I didn't grab a Tonto. But anyways, the Tonto, like I really like the Tonto myself personally, and I thought it was gonna be super awesome. And it took me a really long time to sell them. And as soon as I sold out of them, everyone's like, "Where's the Tonto? Where's the Tonto?" I'm sorry,
Right.
I don't have any more. I had them for a while.
Yeah, I'm glad you got to check it out, Luck, because I did bring the Phil Harvey with me to Blade Show West. I didn't carry it this time, but Luck got to see it. I brought a little Pelican case with like 7. I think that case holds 7 or 8. So I brought that to share because I was spending the weekend with my buddy and stuff. So I wanted to have some cool stuff to show him as well.
You're gonna have to give the people what they asked for, Mike. You know, the super size. I want
Yeah, Professor EDC wants all 3 as well.
All right,
dude.
all right.
You see, like this is what the people are asking for.
And Louis was carrying a Cold Steel Mayhem today, so that's another big boy. So he's all about it too. So yeah, no.
I mean, I guess if that's what everyone wants, you know.
You'll sell 4 or 5.
Yeah, right.
I mean, so you gotta order your minimum of 200 or whatever, and sit on the rest for a while. But hey, 4 or 5 will go right like that.
Well, the thing is if you have a size for everybody, then every time somebody hits the website, they'll be like, "Oh, wait a minute, he's got one for me." And people like the different blade shapes, you know, like that's another big thing. Like I literally got excited when you showed me the big one. And then when you showed me the middle one with the Persian blade, I'm like, holy shit again, right? Like, yeah, dude, like that is cool. So for me, I think you should consider like starting to think about making a campaign on those things because I think they're both home runs already. And somebody's going to want to buy like the little ones. And then somebody's going to want, you know, the Persian blade. And then the big one, most likely me, I'm going to want a big one of my little one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're going to have to make a special one for him with the green. Like,
I want the green. Yeah.
Yeah,
and the
green.
And we get it.
And he made Rose he wrote, was it Rose Damasteel versions? I remember those Rose Damasteel ones. I think that was like a year or 2 ago. I can't remember.
Still have one Rose Damasteel floating around somewhere. I can't remember.
That's cool.
I actually did a run. I think it was 4 knives of the Dragon Steel too, and
I remember
Dragon Skin. Not sure, can't remember the exact word all of a sudden, but yeah, those were sweet. I kept one of those for myself because I had it in my I don't know where, in my pocket at my wedding too. I was like, this is probably wedding worthy. So now I can't sell that one though, right?
No, can't sell that one
Wow.
because that would be bad juju. That's a bad omen if you get rid of the
Yeah.
wedding knife.
Yep, that one has to stay with me.
Yeah,
That's
that one,
the
that's a
only.
keeper for life. You may get
Yep.
out of blade, you may sell every other knife you own, but that one you better keep as long as
Yeah.
your
There
wife's
is
around, you better
something.
keep it.
Yep.
Well, there's something about that dragon skin Damascus, the way that it blues and everything. It's
Mhm.
and not everybody digs it. Like there's people that are like,
I'm
I
kind
could
of on
totally
the
do
fence.
without it. See,
Yep.
Dirk might be one of those, but for me, like I love it every time I see it because there's people that make it purple, there's people that make it blue, there's people that do like the Galaxy Damascus where it's black with just like all these little polished lines everywhere.
Oh yeah.
So, for me, I like the versatility of it. I like the idea. It's like probably most likely crushed ball bearings, I think is how
Mhm.
Birdie Redveld does it.
Yep.
But it's super cool. I like that stuff. Super popular in the South African custom knife makers. They use it a lot there.
Mhm.
So,
And
but
it's
that's
the
where
coloring
Birdie's
can
from.
be so crazy, right? Like you
Yeah,
just, I don't know, it's so unique each one, and in person, like it's so shiny, and I really like it,
yeah,
but it's
yeah,
expensive and hard to get.
Oh
yeah.
yeah. That does drive up the price, and that's going to scare a bunch of people away. And a lot of people don't do dragon skin because it's the price. But I think it's good to have options. And the hard part for you is like because it's you have to invest in it first and then sell them later. It's tough unless you want
It's
to start
like,
doing pre-order stuff. But then how long do you wait? Because
yeah,
5 guys jump on day one pre-order, but you don't sell all 100 of them until day 97,
yeah.
and then it's still 3 months to order them and get them built, or whatever, right?
Yep.
So it's kind of it's
I
a
don't
game.
know. I think like the kind of customers that you want are the ones that are gonna be like, hey, it's a 6 month lead time and that's what it is, and boom, and just do it. Because
Would be awesome though. It's just like, I, from my side, it's kind of like I would be happy if I could, like, if I knew that's what people were like okay
Right.
with, but you just don't. You feel kind of weird sitting on someone's money, right? Like I don't want to just be holding someone's money while I'm waiting for this pre-order to go through, and then I still have to wait for the manufacturing to go through after
Hmm.
that, and like the time starts stacking up. You're kind of like, oh man, is this reasonable? I mean,
Right.
obviously we can set
well,
expectations at the
as long as
beginning,
it's
but
Yeah.
as long as if it's on time and you give yourself a buffer of just a little bit, like just like an 8% margin of time in case something happens and it all goes through, then I think that's fine. I don't think that's the whole reason why even bigger companies like the watch company Yema is like a company that I like,
Hmm.
that buy like a few of their watches. Like they even make like $10,000 watches. Most of their watches are like 2 grand, 3 grand, 500, 800. They make like a whole spectrum of stuff. And like they still use Kickstarter to this day. Like, and this is like an old company from like the 60s. So it's if that's what's set up front, then those who will order it, like there's nothing that you can really do. If it says 6 months, then it's 6 months. If it's 5 months, it's 5 months. Like,
I think
and builds the excitement.
there is some of the excitement thing, but I think a lot of people so not speaking for everybody, but me, Alex, Louis, because he just is commenting. I know Muzzy Man Tony, I know him very well, so I know that he is in the same camp as well of we get it and we're fine with 6, 8 months. I mean, some of us have waited 2, 3 years for a custom knife to be built. Like that's fine. And we put money down and we wait years.
But I
But
don't feel like I'm necessarily like in the same market as like a custom knife like that.
yeah, it's a little different. And then with Amazon,
Oh yeah, but
everybody
it's not
expects their
2, 3
stuff
years,
tomorrow.
right? It's not 2, 3 years. And if it
Right.
is, then it's like let's say they say it's a year out, and because wheat has like a long lead time, I know that, and it's more likely to be like a year and a half with wheat. And then from there, you'd be like, okay, well, like, how do I give people like an ample time to get on the pre-order slowly with no commitment, but maybe do like a newsletter, like, and then on this very day, I'm going to drop signing up with a small deposit, right? And then when it's ready to launch, then they can pay the rest, like when it lands. Like that's how Brian from Sharp by Design does it with Riot. Like he does kind of like a 2-stage process when he does his production runs with Riot. He floats some money, but then like he generates some money up front too, to kind of cover it all so that it's all kind of paid up where it's going. And then it comes in, and whatever comes in is basically the profit. So it's kind of cool. I don't know. I think it's kind of neat that, like, I would call you guys like more like a micro brand, I guess.
Oh, definitely.
And it's like a cult following though, like, because if you do collect knives, a lot of us have at least seen your logo once or twice on something.
Right.
And it's what's with the logo? How'd you come up with the cat?
So when I was doing the company, like Blank was actually the name of my cat at the time. She was just like she's like a runt. I think she weighed 6 pounds like her whole life. She had like health problems her whole life too. Like some people are called like Darth Vader cat because you could hear her coming because her nose was so congested all the time. So you hear her like coming around the corner, breathing super heavy. But anyway, so yeah, the cat was kind of just a doodle I had been doing for a few years. I don't know why. I guess like cats were just kind of part of like my wife's family, and like I don't know, I kind of adopted that, so I started drawing little cats. So that's kind of where that came from. It was just kind of a silly. I liked cats. It's funny, and it. I mean,
It's
doing
cool.
the little like
like
blinky thing, right? It's funny like that.
It is cool.
So it was also kind of a symmetrical, simple thing, right? I just wanted something that was easy to look at and be like, oh yeah,
right.
But yeah, so that's what that was. I know it's kind of silly, but
Stacy's all about the cat. She's one of those crazy cat ladies. In a
I'm
nice
a
way,
dog
we
person.
like her, but she's a little bit of the crazy cat lady.
I'm a dog person, but I like the cat logo very much.
I mean, it's hard to like.
I think it's
just like
clever.
a silly little cat, right? How
can you be upset with it? Like, how can you not like it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's great. I'm very glad to not have any pet person now, but I've had dogs and cats growing up, both all at the same time. I'm just really glad to not have any pets. Don't need a pet. I'm good.
We are like on the verge of acquiring some new cats, it sounds like. And it's like, well, I mean, I'm excited, but I'm also like, oh God, my house is not ready for animals that get into stuff again. Like that's not good. Gonna be a disaster.
Yeah, cats are mischievous. Like they prowl and then they come up with shit, like they're scheming all the time.
Yeah, they dig into the cabinets and they pull some stuff out of the
cabinets. That's why I like dogs. Dogs are consistent. They'll do a doozy once in a while, but they're pretty consistent in the way they're gonna like tear shit up. So I have a 15-year-old pit bull myself. So I've had dogs all my life. I love them, but I've also had a cat once, but he was a little mother effer. He'd scratch me all the time. He's cool looking as a Siamese cat, but I'm like,
they're usually not like that bad.
I just, after that cat, because that was like when I was like maybe from 4 to like 8 years old, and then he ran away, and that was when I grew up in France. He was a Siamese cat, so he looked really cool.
Oh yeah,
he was but the problem with him is he was like, I don't know, he had some sort of disorder, because he would come up to you like he wants to cuddle, and then wham, go for your face. So
that's a ploy. They do that.
I was like, no. It was malicious. Like I saw the look in his eye. He meant it. Like he wanted blood. He wanted to draw blood. Like, So, that was kind of my first relationship with cats. And then dogs, they always just kind of follow along, like, and they're all excited when I get home, I don't know.
I don't know.
They
We
are two polar opposite type of pets for sure.
Both
I feel
very
like
cool.
it can be
But
very
both very
like hit or miss though, right? Because the cat, like, I mean, Blank when she was around, and then the cat we still have, like when you get home, they come running down the steps, like, hey, what's going
Mine
on? Where you
did.
been? Like they're ready they want to see you again. Or then our cat, his name is Mr. Mick. We call it. I think it was originally Mickey because he had kind of like a Mickey Mouse on his side. But anyways,
Okay, yeah.
he'll like follow her around. Like it's like he's like a little dog. He's just one that
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't have to go outside when it's 30 below in the middle of winter here, and he has a litter
Right.
box, so you don't have to go take a walk.
So let me ask you, because we're all grown men here, and you have cats. So do you make a lot of pussy jokes at home?
Honestly, no. That's like low hanging fruit there, right?
Oh my God. I mess with my wife so much. Like, if we had a cat, yeah, it'd be a lot of eye rolling. That's for sure.
Oh, for sure. As I'm sure it is at Stacy's place. Hers are all over the place.
Yeah, it's kind of like how you bring them up. Like if you kind of ignore them and like
Yep.
they do their own thing, they're gonna be a do their own thing type of cat. But if you kind of drag them around with you, force them to do stuff, then they kind of become needy and need you to help them drink out of the sink, even though they have a $100 water dish on the floor that's supposed to clean
Right.
the water and stuff, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
then they're naughty pussies.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine used to get pissed off when he would eat his food, right? And you'd see the bottom of the bowl, but he would
Mhm.
eat straight down. There's still 10 pounds of food around, but he could see the bottom. So now he's all pissed off. He's
Yeah.
just going to sit there and scream at you until you go and shake the bowl, and then he's going to be eaten again and be fine. Like, what is wrong with you, cat? Like,
It's got to have like just a little bit of control of like the
I think
situation,
that's
no matter
it.
what, right?
Yes, they're in control of this human race. They're
Mhm.
like, come here, human. Mix
Yeah,
my
see,
food bowl.
that's the aspect of the cat that I
That's the
don't
cat
like.
aspect.
They're
Yep.
too smart. Like, they're
They think
always
they're in charge.
conniving. They're planning something.
Uh-huh.
Like,
It
they're
keeps you on your
smarter than you.
toes. You got to be ready for the
Yeah,
next like
yeah.
secret attack that they're planning. Who knows what it's going to be?
Right?
My cousin had a Maine Coon, and that was a super cool cat. It was huge. Like, had
Yep.
this big, massive tail, looked kind of like a wild cat, like a lion. And yeah, that thing was crazy. I didn't even know she had it the first time I went into her house. And then it was perched up like on a bookshelf somewhere really high up. And it was like kind of just like sitting up there. Its eyes are all big. Its tail's starting to do like one of these whipping things, like he wants to get nuts. It was getting hot in that room, like he wanted to attack me. And then I was like, what in the hell is that? She's like, oh yeah, that's my Maine Coon. I'm like,
what the
is
hell
that
is
a
a Maine
lion?
Coon?
Like,
Right?
is that a puma? Like, what is that?
Brought some wildlife in, no big deal.
But then when it came on the ground, it rolled on its back. It wanted a belly rub and stuff. I was like, this is interesting. That's a cool cat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyways, so now the next part of you call this knife the Sphinx. So how does that relate, and like how'd you come up with that name for this knife model?
So, if some people might remember, I don't know, if, like people that are around from the very beginning, the original name was actually the Jinx because it was a black cat, right? But I got a cease and desist from, I can't think of it also, because of the hijinks, one of that Hawaiian knife maker knives. Why am I just full blanking on these names all of a sudden?
Mm-hmm.
CR something. I can't remember all of a sudden. Whatever.
CRJB, maybe?
No.
I don't remember who has the hijinks, but I do remember somebody.
Anyways, you know what I'm talking about. Right, anyways,
Oh
so
yeah, there was a hijinks. You're
Yep.
right. I do remember there was a hijinks.
Yeah. I don't know why I can't remember the name. I mean, I was kind of shocked to get an actual letter from a lawyer like a week into my campaign. I was like, oh my God, what did I do? But yeah, so the original was the Jinx because it was a black cat, and I thought, oh, that was kind of cute, you know, it's
Okay.
silly little play on
Makes
the
sense.
idea.
Yeah.
So then it was kind of okay, well, I kind of want to stick with the cat theme. Started looking around. I was like, all right, well, I mean, the Sphinx is a big cat. That's kind of fun, and it fits with like the same mnemonicness of Jinx, Sphinx. It's similar in that sense.
Yeah.
So it just kind of fit, and I was like, all right, I like it. It sounds good. It's different enough, but it's similar enough that it felt like the same vein to me. So I just liked it, and it seemed to fit. I tried
Okay.
like some other ideas, like Gray Duck, and there's some silly Minnesota stuff, but that wasn't gonna work. So yeah, I don't know.
I
So
dig
that's
it
kind
too.
of one of
That's
the
cool
things. I was
though.
like, if we do the big one, I was kind of thinking, oh, maybe we'll call this one like the Pharaoh or something because it's massive. Or,
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
All right, now we got a name.
Yeah.
So
see?
like we got the prototype, we got 4 or 5 people interested. Now we got a possible name. So like this is maybe going to really happen now. Like
It could
now
happen.
we're starting to build some momentum.
Just
I really dig. The Pharaoh. That's perfect, man. There's no other name.
it fits with the whole theme, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. That's kind of where that came from. I do have one other thing. Let's see if you guys like this. So I'll do a little backstory. When I was first started, I was selling like kind of a lot of knives to China, which was kind of weird to me. Like, man, they're shipping them from China to me, and then I have to send them back to China, and it's super
That's
expensive,
interesting.
right? And I think I don't know. I kind of thought I was like, oh, maybe like cats, maybe that's like a cool thing in China.
Yeah.
Makes
And
sense.
yeah, so I don't know. But anyway, so at some point, a guy was like, hey, I do knives here. Are you cool with me manufacturing them and selling them in China? I was like, at first I was kind of like, this seems like kind of a scam, a little fishy.
Right.
But I was like, you know what? I don't really care, to be honest with you. So I was like, let's do this. I was like, you know what? Make the knife. Let me see it before you start selling it. And you can't send them to the US. Like, I don't want to have any like confusion. And then I had him do a slightly different logo. It's got like the eyes are a little different.
Okay.
So he was just making like the original Sphinx, but he was selling them in China, which was fine with me. And like I got a small cut, but I wasn't really expecting
Yeah.
any money at all. I didn't really care, to be honest.
Oh no, you need money. It's all about the money.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
anybody watches my channel
Totally in this for the money. This is such a huge money maker for me.
Yeah. Same with YouTube. It's not
Yeah, right.
about money, people. Trust me.
So anyways,
one thing about the Chinese is why can't they just come up with their own original ideas? What is so hard? What is so hard?
He wasn't
about
doing
making-
like a knockoff. He was doing like the real thing. Like he was using
He
the
asked.
same. Yeah, he was using the same blade steels.
That's better than most do.
Well,
Yeah,
to
I
me,
mean, it was pretty much the
thing is
exact
the
same
one-
knife.
Right.
The one to me that's the original is the one that's manufactured by We Knives. That would be the original to me.
And that's why
So anything else would be kind of a knockoff.
Right?
Yeah, but it's an authorized knockoff.
Yeah, it was kind of like a authorized like regional thing, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
and I mean,
there you
and it
go.
worked for me because like my company's not big enough to be like I think one guy bought a bunch of knives one time. I was like, man, this is kind of silly. Like to send a bunch of knives to like a retailer over there that I don't know what's really happening. Like I don't know. It was when I'm not making very many knives because I'm so small as a company, it just felt a little weird. So it made more sense to me at the time. Like, yeah, let's let them do it and let them sell it as kind of an authorized thing.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, so recently he was like, hey, I'm doing kind of like a collab. Are you cool if I kind of use your design as inspiration? I was like, all right, whatever. I mean, it's not going to hurt me. So, I mean, obviously, I'm just too tiny. It doesn't really matter.
Right.
So anyways, he came up with these little, where's the camera thing go? This thing. So he did like a little ballad song with like kind of, so you can kind of see like the general shape. Up here. And then he kind of did like the blade shape too, but it's a little bit more dirty. So I was cutting something with it.
That's kind of cool.
It's kind of cool, right?
That's kind of cool.
It's so yeah, he's doing these. I'm probably gonna cut myself if I do anything more than that, but
right,
it's so bad at these things. Yeah, so this is something that like I was kind of considering. Like he's making them. I was like, oh, maybe I could sell a few of those here too, but I don't know. Like Bell Song isn't exactly my area of expertise. I don't really know anything about these things. They're
No, but they're
super
hot with the kid. Well, not necessarily the kids, because one of the booths I went to at Blade West, there's several different ballet song butterfly knife booths. One of them, JK Design, is my niece's husband's cousin.
Okay.
I met him at the wedding. Found out he made knives years ago at the wedding. Heard he was going to be at that show, so I looked up his booth. I found him. We chatted and stuff. He mostly does the whole ballet song thing, and he's there the whole time you're talking, just flip, flip, flippy, flap, flip, clack, click, click, clack. And then he's also making some folding knives now. So I checked out the folding knives, but on either side, there's 20 or 30 freaking guys out there flipping, clickety clackety, walking around. Like the ballet song thing is a big thing, and some can get pricey.
Yeah.
I don't know what his base model ones are, but he's made some that are $4,000 and $5,000 ballet song.
Okay.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Ballet songs have like a interesting like pricing step, like because junk is gonna be like under $100, and then $100 to like $300 will get you like a decent one, and then like from there to get to the next level, you'll probably have to spend like $500, and all the way up from there is about $2,000 is where that area is, and then from there it's $2,000 to like $6,000, and then there's $6,000 to like 15 and 20 grand. I mean, ballet songs goes crazy. For sure.
Well, and they have a competition there at Blade West.
Oh yeah, those are cool.
Like the flipping competition, which I didn't see, but in talking to Julian from JK Design, and I really kind of looked at his stuff a little closer, right? Because we're there just chatting, and he's got pins in the handles that you can take out and move around for different weights, so that you can flip it more this way, flip it more that way. It's more balanced. You can take some of the pins out and move them to the other side. Like super customizable. And then he has some little insert things that make it look a little more cool because his handles are kind of skeletonized. But you can put in a thing there so that it's not see-through anymore. Like I learned a lot, and I was kind of impressed and surprised all at the same time that there was that much into it. So yeah, ballet song's a big thing. Not my thing. I would kill myself even with his trainer. I didn't even play with the trainer because I figured I'd hurt myself with the trainer, because that's just how it would go.
Yeah, it's like pinch your finger, right? If it comes down the wrong way.
I wouldn't cut myself, but I'd pinch myself and drop blood and have a big blood blister.
I mean, they're super cool, but yeah, like
they're cool.
I mean, if you don't, it's kind of a steep learning curve if you just like dive into it with a full sharpened blade. Like you mess up, you're like, whoops, that was a pretty expensive mistake again, stitches.
No, but ballet song guys will tell you, like true ballet song guys will tell you, you need to practice with a sharp one. Because if you start with a practice, when you get to a sharp one, you're going to be like so shy. It's going to be like starting all over again. So,
maybe. I mean, that makes sense.
From somebody who like has done both ways, practice and like sharp, I agree with that statement. I think you start with a sharp one. You just do what you can handle to do first. Like if you're going to do aerials, for example, where you're going to catch the thing after it flips, maybe a practice one to start. Right? But for basic like flipping,
just walking up and down the aisles, I mean, I'm surprised somebody's not gotten stabbed by mistake at Blade just because
for flipping, I think you need to do a sharp one. I have this ridiculous one. I don't know where it's at right now, but I have this one by Cold Steel. It's called a Paradox.
Paradox,
and it's literally like this massive one, but it wasn't a real ballet song. It was kind of like a cam block design, so you could split it this way. It's like a dual kind of slip joint design, right? So I took like the handles apart, and then where the little cams were, I grinded those off. So afterwards, it's like a fully like functioning massive like ballet song. I love those things, and it's sharp. It's huge. Like you mess up, it's getting in there nice and deep.
Yeah, you don't want to mess up.
That's what she said.
But yeah, I think that Bally song that the dude in China made is kind of cool. Like, I think that's maybe something else that you could then offer on the site. I mean,
Yeah, call
Yeah.
it
the other
Clink
stuff's already
Blades.
made in China too, so it's not like there's some big conflict or some drama there.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's interesting. It's a thing that's kind of thrown out there, tossing around in my brain, and I kind of
Yeah,
would be nice to find someone who's actually good with it and let them use it and be like, oh yeah, this one actually works, or oh no, that's more of a like a what is it like a just like kind of a toy, you know, like a
yeah,
novelty thing or something.
yeah. We're not the guys.
Yeah, right.
My relative Julian would be able to tell us, and there's a bunch of people like, but yeah, you just got to reach out to some of those guys and be like, hey, can I send you this or you to test it? Because like some dude, like and they'd be glad to play around with it and
What
tell you if it's not.
are you are you a knife collector, Mike?
I kind of got in this because I was started like with some cheap knives. I was starting to build myself up. I think like the most expensive knife I have is a Ferrum Forge, but I got like the SM100 blade and an NTAC.
Ooh.
So that was like
Oh, I remember
that's
those.
yeah. So that was kind of like when I was like peak collecting. But that's also when I started thinking, I should start my own company, start doing my own
Hmm.
knives. And after that, I was kind of like, it's kind of silly to buy someone else's knife.
Right.
Which obviously I still have bought some other knives since then.
Yeah.
Just because I don't know why. I mean, you can't avoid it completely. It's kind of hard. There's
No.
cool stuff out there. You want to have it and play with it.
Right. It's market
But
research.
exactly, yeah, exactly. I need to see what everything is doing, but I try not to be honest. Like
Okay.
I spend like I'm into mountain biking and stuff. I spend a ton of money on that. Like
Oh
I can't
yeah,
have too many
dude.
hobbies, you know.
Oh, trust me, we
Play a
know.
little guitar. That's a pretty expensive hobby too. Once you
Oh, that's
start,
my
you
brother.
know.
The guitars. Yep.
So I try because I'm always like when I go out, I always carry my own knife because it's like, well, first of all, it's my favorite knife. I made it exactly
Okay.
how I
Yeah.
wanted a knife to be, right? So I'm probably not gonna carry a different knife if I go anywhere. And yeah, it's cool to have them sitting here to like look at and play with once in a while, but it got kind of the point where I was like, oh, it's kind of silly just to have it sitting in my drawer for
I
what I'm doing.
totally
Right,
agree with
right.
that. And I've got some that are like that I sometimes I do stop and think, why do I have these? Like not all my knives, but these 4 or 5. I think, why did I have to have these? Maybe I
Like
should
this
sell
stuff.
these.
Yeah, like this
Yeah,
kind of
but
stuff.
then I
Yeah.
don't want to sell them because, well, they're limited. It's a one of one, or there's only 10 or 20 of them out there in the world. And
Hmm.
it's that whole FOMO comes in. If I sell it to Professor EDC, who wants a couple of these types of knives of mine, or to somebody else, then I won't have it anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but you never use it. Yeah, but I own it still, and I can use it anytime I want.
I mean, it's always
So
there to go look at when you own it, which
exactly. But if I sell it to this guy, I can ask him for a picture because we're friends.
yeah.
That's not the same. Like it'll be a little awkward for me to reach out like every week if I sell something to Alex that I love. Be like, hey, dude, can you send me a picture of my old knife again? Like, I don't know. It's kind of weird, but you mentioned SM100 blade steel. Like I missed out on a Frank Fisher Fury years and years ago that was in SM100. And it was beautiful. At some point, I would like to get a knife with SM100 just because it's very unique and whatnot. So at some point, I'll maybe have something made in that.
It
Just
feels like it was kind of like this thing where it was like I'd never heard of it. All of a sudden,
yeah,
like everyone was making
yeah.
something, and then it kind of like
And
I
then
feel
it's
like I
gone
haven't really.
again.
Yeah, I was like, did they
Well,
just?
it's not fun to work with, is
Yeah,
from what I
I think
hear.
that's
Like,
I think that's why.
yeah,
yeah.
But then when you
yeah.
finish it, the coloring and stuff on the ones I've seen is just amazing.
I feel like they
So
could
I
So
almost
think that's the other
anodize it, right?
problem too, is that he when the custom knife makers use that stuff to get the coloring right is really, really hard,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
from what I think I remember hearing from somebody.
Oh, I'm
Well,
sure.
I remember because like Ferrum Forge was one of the knife companies that kind of like I followed when I was starting to get into this a lot. Like I remember they did a run of I think it was Stingers they called them, but anyways, they were all SM100 too, and they were getting like patterns and like
Yeah.
really unique, like intricate stuff onto the blade somehow. And I was like, wow, that is really cool. They were coming up with some really crazy things just beyond like, obviously some people are doing really cool colors, really vibrant
Right.
colors, but this was like, it almost seemed like kind of like the next step of like they're getting line work onto these blades somehow. And I don't know, not really sure what they're doing to do that, but it was at the time, it's like, this is
Those
crazy.
guys are really cool.
Hmm.
Like their customer service was fantastic for me one time. I bought a knife used from somebody else, had it for a day, dropped it on my tile floor, and busted the tip off. It was the Archangel, Ferrum Forge Archangel.
Okay.
So I reached out to them. I sent them a message. They wrote back. They're like, yeah, send it in. $100. We'll put a new blade. Sweet. Awesome. No problem. I'm in Northern California. They're in San Diego. Shipped it out. It literally got there the next day, just with the post office. Sometimes it happens. They shipped it back to me that same day. Like they got it in the morning. They swapped the blade, polished it up, like just totally tuned it up. And they shipped it back out that same day. I had it like the very next, like it was gone 3 days.
Yeah, that's
and
impressive.
when their office girl or whatever called and said, hey, it's ready, it's shipping back. And I'm like, okay, cool. Do you want like PayPal? You want my credit card? Like, oh, no. They said it was fine. They're just going to ship it back. I'm like, but no. They said, nope, no charge. It's on its way back.
Yeah,
dude, I didn't even buy it from you. You didn't need to warranty it. You didn't need to do anything. Even if I had bought it from you, I'm the dumbass that dropped it. Like, I don't expect that to be free. But yeah, I was super impressed with that, and so I did talk to them, and kind of sent them messages and said thanks, all that stuff. But yeah, it was great. I do like a lot of the models that they had and stuff.
I just like what they used to do more back in the day, like way
their
back in the
makers,
day.
choice ones.
Yeah, that and like they used to do like they did Marvel themes. They did then they did like a lot of Star Wars stuff. And they did some crazy like monster ones. And when they were knives that you truly knew was like gonna be the only one like that. It was so like over the top customized, like there's not another one like it. And they don't do that anymore, or at least I don't think they do.
I don't hear much from them anymore or about
like
them.
The production
I don't
stuff.
know where they're at. It's mostly all production stuff now. I think they may still be doing some custom stuff. I don't know. If somebody knows, comment and don't send me hate mail because I'm wrong. Because guys, if you haven't figured it out yet, I don't know what I'm talking about. on this live stream or my normal channel. I just talk about the knives and I tell you my thoughts on them. And I get stuff wrong all the time. And I get people commenting all the time, generally in a nice way. Hey, I think it's really this. There's the occasional guys that are kind of like jerk offs about it, but they're not really around anymore because they get the boot. But yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. So don't take me for my word.
Oh, you can take me for mine.
Alex knows what he's talking about. That's why I ask Alex a bunch of stuff about stuff before I do videos. It's like,
I get too opinionated about stuff. I'm like, oh, that thing sucks. But
there's only
it sucks, and if it's cool, it's cool.
Only been a couple of knives that I've said on my videos that I said sucked. I don't even know if I said it sucked, but I might have. There's a couple that come to mind that were in the sucky category, and I explained why.
There's many ways to say suck, like less than favorable. Not
I just point out the good and the
ideal.
bad. It's very plain as day. It's a lock. It's a frame lock that doesn't lock. It's more like a slip joint, and it's brand new. The maker sent me, like that somebody bought and had it sent to me, and then I filmed it. And then I told the owner about it. Because it was super light. It wasn't a slip joint yet, but it was getting there. The maker actually told the owner, oh, you just have to open and close it another couple hundred times and it'll like work its way in.
What is it, a Strider?
And so I literally, the owner's like, hey, this is what they told me. Like, sent me a screenshot from the maker. And I'm like, okay. So I literally opened and closed it 225 times. I literally kept track on a piece of paper, right? And by about the 200th time, it was a freaking slip joint. And I wasn't banging them. I was literally just opening it, closing it, opening it, closing it. About 200 times in, it was a freaking slip joint. I shipped it back to the maker, and then they worked it out, and I never heard it back. I'm sorry. There's got to be open
that's
about
like that's like a safety thing though too. Like you can't
exactly.
You can't have it just pop and close when someone's using it.
And stuff happens, and even custom knives, high-end custom knives, sometimes you get it and there's just something that the maker missed. And I don't have a problem with that. It's how they act. Oh, just open and close it more times and it'll lock up. Well, no, that's not even how it works. Yeah. So I don't know why you even said that.
It does work like that on the Strider.
Yeah. And then you can never get it open.
And it's not 225 flips either. I bought a brand new Strider SNG. I still have it. Dude, that thing took like I don't know, like a couple like a month and a half before it started sticking and moving in the right way. And then when 6 months later, it was
was it not locking or it had lock stick?
No, it was just like lock stick, but lock up, and it would constantly change.
Okay, because this one didn't lock up.
Now it doesn't change. It doesn't change anymore. But it over a period of 6 months, the thing constantly like varied. It was weird.
Those are kind of like
I hated that.
Like Medfords are kind of like that with their lockup. You get a lot of lock stick at the beginning, and you gotta work it out, and the washers and stuff have to break in because they crank the pivot so tight. You gotta freaking spend 2 movies just opening and closing for 2 movies. And then it's you
got to work it like a fat chick.
Exactly. It's just not. There's ways to do it without having to make it that way. But now we're getting off track.
Well, from my side, as a person who's sold some knives, and I've had maybe 2 knives that had a problem. It's you get the email and you're like, oh man, how did I miss that before I sent it out, right? Because before I send it, I want to make sure I'm not gonna have to get it back, right? I don't want
to. But there's people that make problems too.
Well, yeah. I mean,
there are some people that are a little bit less, a little unscrupulous, if you will.
Yeah.
But coming from Riot, generally speaking, they're gonna be great each time.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna buy something,
definitely the overall experience is I can expect that when I pull out one of the knives, it's going to be within a pretty small margin of what the last one I was handling felt like.
Right. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
And, I mean, there's some differences, and occasionally I'll get one where it's like, holy crap, that is a butter knife, so smooth, and then I'll get one that's the far end where it's really sticky. But if I find some of that stuff, I don't even sell those ones. I just pull them out and I just kind of have a little pile of a couple knives just sits there. It's just I'm not gonna let anyone get this, because if I got that in the mail personally, I'd be like, oh, this is kind of, I mean, yeah, it still functions, everything's still there, it'll still cut, but it'd just be kind of slightly disappointing. It's I wouldn't want to get that if it was me. So
no, and then they're gonna tell their friends that I bought this and it works and it's fine, but it's not great.
That's too mediocre, right?
You only get that one chance to make that first impression. So if your knife is coming and it's mediocre, well, then you got a mediocre company. That's it. Yep. If there's a lock fail or something wrong, people understand. That's different than being mediocre, right? I can accept something that has lock fail. I mean, I don't like it, but I get how things happen, and I'll send it back. But if the action just sucks, well, then the action just kind of sucks, and I'm okay. So
and there's definitely a part of it. I recognize also that my knife will never be as smooth feeling as a big heavy blade. because I don't
Oh
have
yeah,
that
because it's
mass
too
to move,
small.
right?
The big one's gonna be perfect for
Oh
that.
yeah, I mean the big.
There you go.
It's getting closer to the feel of some of those big heavy ones. I mean, it doesn't still drop shut necessarily because it's just like I use a pretty thin blade, right? Just
We
because
don't need them to drop. Drop shut is overrated in Dirk's world. Some people
I agree.
may disagree, but like the Holt Spectre, the Grisma Norseman, the North Arm Skaha, which I still own, like even this Tim Gallion is a little too drop shutty for me because I can like barely get my finger out of the way
Yeah.
sometimes. But that's a little much for me. And this is on washers.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
like,
Huh.
God damn, if that was on bearings, I'd lose a finger every time.
Well, to be
So-
fair, this one has gotten me on top of the thumb a few times.
Has
And
it?
that was, yeah, and that's because I completely extended the lock out. And if I do
Oh, yeah,
that, it will do that. Like it's
Yeah.
got the potential to drop pretty well.
Right.
Well, it is
So
on ceramic bearing, so if you're holding that lock out of the way,
Yep.
there's nothing stopping
yeah,
the blade.
it's good, and that's good. I like that about this knife. I
But
like the hollow inside.
fortunately, it's a light blade, so it ain't going to take your thumb off.
Yeah.
No,
Whereas
and
no,
Tim
no.
Gallion, that's a big, heavy blade that I've been lucky not to cut myself with.
Yeah. And personally,
But
like I'm
there's
kind of with
those.
you, like, oh,
There's
like the
those
drop
certain.
shut seems silly, right? Why would you want to have a
I
blade
think
that
it's
can
silly.
land on your hand? Like
I think it's
Yeah.
silly.
defeats the
Because
purpose
we
of-
like to live dangerously. That's why.
All right. Well, I mean, that's
Maybe
your
when
thing,
I was
right?
younger. I think I've gotten
Yeah.
over the living dangerously crap now in my life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that little like, and you're like,
Yeah. It's satisfying. You can't
It
argue
is,
that.
but
and then you get that.
But yeah, that's a good looking knife too. That one you just got, that CKF.
Oh yeah, so
That's a
this
good one.
is
Looks nice.
the Lespect Dovless, but the
Mhm.
CKF version, and it's got the superconductor on it. I love that material. I always have. Really cool blade shape too.
I liked in your unboxing how it's modular and it has a different clip and different inlays to make it,
Yeah.
kind of change it up, like from dressy to more utilitarian, if you love, giving you options. I think was super cool. That's one of the
It
things I
is.
love about CKF.
Yeah, CKF knows how to do like a big project like that. They do it well.
Yeah, congrats on that one. So
Thanks. I like
That
it.
is super
guys.
cool.
Nice.
That looked awesome.
Yeah, like I bought it after the fact.
Mhm.
The ones that came to America had more of like a two-tone blade, where this was kind of dark wash,
Oh,
and then
okay.
this was satin.
Yeah.
And so if you got the superconductor one from NC Blades, it came with this dark wash instead of nice like satin bead blast. And so this one I got from somebody who actually got it at the show. That's why he got this version. So this one's
Cool.
a little bit like kind of the one that I wanted out of the bunch.
Are you guys into like getting a knife and sending it to like a modder or anything like that? Have you done any of that?
Oh yeah.
Yes and no. Alex is into that.
Yeah.
I'm not. I buy a knife and I just have the knife the way it is. I have not modded any of my knives, which is unusual because I mod all my cars that I've ever had, but yet I don't feel like I want to mess with a knife. Like I can change the pivot so that it doesn't drop shut, but I don't want to because that's kind of how the knife maker made the knife.
Mhm.
So for me, I just leave the knives alone. I keep threatening Alex, and Alex keeps trying to talk me into doing a Spyderco PM2 build because you can basically buy everything by parts and pieces and build it yourself, basically.
Yeah.
So, and Alex does that a lot.
Okay.
So, yeah, he's much more into that than I am. I'm not.
Yep. I love
Kind of
it.
like a world I don't have much experience with. So I was kind of curious, like, hear your side, like that
Yeah.
kind of.
Alex does.
What do I have here?
My other buddy Will has bought a PM2 and bought some scales like Alex and stuff like that. Like The Spyderco is
So-
very much like the Lego of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
world. You can buy aftermarket scales and hardware and pivots and just like all kinds of stuff.
Well,
Which one's
so
that?
this one was the very first knife that got me into collecting. This is
Oh,
the
that's
first like thing I got back in 2013. If you look at it, there's a Rotten Design logo because he did a full regrind on it.
Okay.
So, but then he redid the frame. Normally, like the clip is usually up here, and he moved it to the rear. He this thing was really raggedy, like you could hear it clinking around the way it was built.
Mhm.
And he somehow like centered it, like he redid the whole knife for me. So that was one thing that I did, like as far as like knife modding, that I think is pretty cool, you know. And then like Dirk says, I have like some Spydercos that I redo, like the scales and stuff like that. So like that's a little bit easier because that's more like the mods that you can
Right.
get anybody to like do. Here's the first one I did.
But then you've got guys like Nav Sergeant here, Luck Knives, who takes a full-on handmade custom run best, takes it apart and changes it and mods it himself. I don't understand. And no,
Well, yeah,
I
that's
would not do that,
extreme.
Mike. Sorry, you're a little
But
bit cuckoo.
But this one's like got all titanium scales, or
Yeah.
I'm sorry, titanium screws. It's got like a Timascus clip on it with like a really
Yeah.
cool color on it. And then it's got these, they call them Grand Line marble carbon fiber scales from Aramis. And it's on an M390 PM2. So it's a cool knife.
Yeah, that
So
one's a
I
cool one.
have-
That one out.
Yeah.
I have like 3 PM2s. I think everybody's favorite's the purple one. That's the one everybody usually
That's the
likes.
purple with the Tonto, right?
Yeah, the purple Tonto.
Yeah,
That one's
with the
cool.
blacked out blade.
Yeah. And then I
Is
have
that like
a
a regrade
Warncliffe one that's green. And so modding is a thing. If you ever want to ask questions about modding or you want to like market something, like you can always ask me. I'm always willing to
Alex
talk
is the
about that
man.
stuff.
And there's several, like a bunch of companies and or people that definitely do that. That's like their whole business. So all right, now he's trying to say, oh, I only stripped the anodizing and skiff bearings because, well, of course they're skiff bearings. Still, it's a run best. Really? I don't know. Just giving you.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
It's
about
almost
the
like
stick
taking
bearings.
it's almost like taking a Frank Fisher and like changing it. Like, who does that? Like, whoa.
I can match this bolster just a little better than he can.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I stay away from that stuff. Like Spyderco's stuff, like I don't have a problem with people that mod their stuff. I don't even have a problem with Mike, Luck Knives, who changed his custom run best. Like it's fine. I just wouldn't do that. Spyderco stuff, sure. I could buy a PM2, buy some aftermarket scales, unbolt them, bolt them on, and be happy. Yeah, that sure. I haven't ever done that yet. I keep talking about it with Alex and another, friend of mine will, but I just haven't done it yet. At some point I will. I'll probably just recreate his purple black, bladed Tonto because I like that. That one I really liked, but I don't know. Not really my thing.
Is the Tonto like a regrind, or did they make a Tonto?
They offered a Tonto in that PM2 for a little while. It was like a sprint run or a limited run or something like that.
Okay. I don't feel like I remember ever seeing that.
Really?
So now Luck is going to say, so for your large version Blink Blades, the Pharaoh, he says just all stonewashed, giving everybody the opportunity to do their modding. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
So that's the Warncliffe one.
Yeah, that's cool.
So
yeah, Alex collected all the different blades that they made.
Yeah, I wanted all the blade shapes.
Which I totally understand. That's why I'm not getting into PM2s because I would.
But yeah, here's the purple one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I remember seeing that. That is actually really cool though. That color.
Yeah.
Is it like a carbon fiber again?
Yeah, it's a carbon fiber with some purple infused in it.
Yeah, that's super
I know my
cool.
camera is awful, but
Yeah, it's a little off, but it's much more purple looking than it shows on his screen.
Yeah. No, that's super cool. I do remember that blade though. Now that I see it, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I do
And
remember seeing those.
And I think on that one, the compression lock is blacked out also?
No.
Or no?
No.
Okay, because there was
but,
a couple
but
of
the
models
rest of it's blacked out. The lock's not black, but the rest is blacked out. Or
yeah,
maybe
they don't like to black out the locking part for some reason.
Well, they say the coating changes, like
it changes the lockup and stuff, so that's why they don't do it. But I'd be more apt if they did, because I don't really like. It's all blacked out, but you've got the compression lock part is kind of silvery. I don't really like that part, so
kind of messes with the flow of the whole visual.
To me, it does, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Oh, and then there's the Emerson one too.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That one's kind of ugly. It looks like a bird. You know?
Yeah, but you gotta have them.
It's a little weird, you know. It's an acquired taste.
Yes. Well, when you have one, you want to have them all, and that's kind of why we keep telling you got to make the Persian middle one, the big one. You got to make them all.
Yeah. Here's one other thing I did just randomly. Like it was kind of a testing it myself. It's just like so this one kind of varied away from my general design aesthetic.
Okay.
But it's like I don't know if it's a unique enough to sell as my own thing. So it kind of I feel like it kind of looks like a lot of other stuff that's already. I'm so bad at this. There we go.
I agree. It looks different, but it's very kind of similar with kind of a trend right now. I think those middle finger flicking type, things, which is again my least favorite style of opening. But
personally, I don't know if I feel that way.
I love the flicker. I'm a big fan of the flick. But
I kind of like it actually.
We did I was trying to do like a button lock. Why am I so bad at getting
this? Okay,
that's cool.
So this one's the blade shape is slightly different. It didn't quite work as well, like getting your finger in there. I designed the shape and stuff. Obviously, I didn't really know what I was doing the first time trying to do a hole instead of a little flipper tab. It was kind of a whole new world for me. But luckily with the button lock was pre-designed. I didn't have to try and figure that out.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Kind of steal a little bit of their figured out. But yeah, so it's kind of like some of these things is like I wish I had more ability to do some of this stuff, but I just don't think it's like unique enough that it's worth trying to do a run. It's kind of more for myself. Like, okay, let me see if I can come up with something that works. Is it cool? Is this something I could maybe incorporate into a new design later that might be a little more unique? But
I got you. Okay.
But remember, like, even like famous bands will say like sometimes, hey, like I thought this song was going to be like the big hit and like, and I thought this song was going to suck. And it turned out that this song was the big hit and this one was the one that ended up not doing that well, so you never know until you put it out there what people are going to react to,
And Stacy kind of makes a great comment here. Knives look like other knives because, well, they're just knives. So, which is really true. And I think people need to remember that a little more because a lot of people harp on, oh, that's just a copy of something else. And I'm sure I've been guilty of it too. So I take some responsibility there. But it's a knife. Like, we're not reinventing the knife. Like, the general shape is always going to be sort of similar because they got to cut. Like, it's just what they are. So, but
there's so many ways you can fit all those parts, like the pivot and the locking mechanism. Like, you kind of need a certain set of shape in this area to actually get everything to work. And like the rest of the stuff, like one of these days I'll get this in the right spot. The rest of the stuff is obviously like a lot more room for interpretation, like what you're going to do. But again, like you still only have so much unless you end up with like a knife that sticks out like your whatever that was, like
the peacemaker, right?
The peacemaker where it's got like it, but that's not really the same idea. That's supposed to look like that, right?
This is supposed to look bohemian and weird and odd and whatnot, and it's about the biggest knife that you can get to fit in your jeans. Like he literally, when he made this, he cut open a pair of jeans, cut out the pocket, put that down on the steel so that he could make it so that it would actually fit in the jeans. So, and it was at the time for the jeans that he could buy in the UK or whatever, it was what would fit. Like that was it. So that's a purpose built different thing. And he sold a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know exactly how many numbers, but there's probably less than 30 of those out there or something, maybe.
But again, that's like the benefit of being a person making the knife in-house, where like you can come up with a crazy design and you can make a few of them and you can sell a few of them and you're doing what you're doing. For me, it's like, ooh, I can't really do like a super weird one. Like I can't sell 4 knives. Like that's just not going to work. Like unless I can figure out an entirely different business plan, essentially, which it's frustrating for me. Like I would love to be able to do a bunch of weird little stuff. Like this design's super fun for maybe a couple people, but maybe most people wouldn't like it. But it's just like it's not in the cards. Maybe if I win the lottery someday, I'll have a bunch of capital floating around, right?
What's the number of knives that makes a run like? What's the amount of knives that makes a run make sense for you? What makes it make sense for you? Like a good, like, okay, this was fun and worth the work.
On the like if the G10 would have worked, I probably would need close to like 100-ish, and I wasn't getting anywhere near that. For the original like titanium, I think it was when I was doing it, was closer to like 50 was like the first run.
Yeah.
But of course, I think if I'm remembering correctly, when I did the original run back in 19 or whatever, the minimum order was lower. So it's gotten a little bit more difficult just to do a run now. And like they were definitely more willing to work with me then too. Like they're giving me breaks with like I could do more variety. Like I think I was able to get the Tonto and a regular thing kind of built sort of simultaneously, and it counted towards the minimum.
Towards that minimum.
Where now they're like, oh, you want a stonewash and you want a non-stonewash? Well, those are separate SKUs, so you're gonna have to get the full,
or whatever,
or it's like 300 of each. So like it's a pretty big volume.
Right. Yeah, the whole world has changed. I mean,
well, they're
from
busier.
19 till now, it's those guys, they've gotten so big and they're doing so much for everybody. They don't have to work with you as much.
No. And I'm not trying to say anything bad about them. They're still like, when I interact with them, they're awesome. Like they're super helpful. They're like willing to talk to me. They'll work with me. They'll like they're awesome. Like they've been great for me. Like I would have never been able to do this without them. So like, I'm not trying to say anything against them. It's just kind of the nature of the beast. Like you said, they're getting bigger. Everyone's gotten bigger. Just the world's a different place now. So it just makes it's unfortunate for me, but I mean, I can't fault them for
like it's not their fault. It's just the industry has changed and they went from 50 to now needing 300 and they're less willing to work with you and mix and match because they're just big and busy.
Yeah, they have stuff to do. They don't. It's like, we'd love to help you, but it's not like their business isn't just helping people out. You know?
They're trying to make money and do their stuff too. Like I get it. So.
And I mean, they have how many knives do they make now? Like I feel like we releases a batch of like 15 new designs every 4th week or something, and then they got a civvy line
of their own.
Right? They're like their knives.
Dozen or 2 or more, 2 dozen companies are they making knives for?
Yeah.
So they're busy.
Yeah. So I understand. But again, like for me, it's harder. It just makes things difficult. Like, oh, I wish I could do this. And that's kind of like part of the why haven't I necessarily done the bigger one yet, or why haven't I done the middle one? It's kind of like,
because
pick, like, and choose. Like I thought maybe the G10 was the way to go. Well, maybe it's not. So maybe I'll try. Maybe the bigger thing was the right choice. Maybe that's the way I should have gone first.
I don't know.
Right? I mean, you never know.
You don't know until you really put it out there and get like some polls or do some possible pre-orders and things like that to see what people really want to do.
It's like when you take a multiple choice test, right? The first answer is the correct one.
Yeah. Don't change your mind.
Don't change your mind.
I thought the answer was always C or something like that. When in doubt, see it out. Isn't that what it is? No, I don't. I mean, it'd be cool to do more. And I gotta admit, I'm horrible at doing like the social media stuff. Like I guess.
And unfortunately, that's kind of where we're at. If you're not doing any marketing stuff, then it's just gonna be what it is.
Yeah, but then like the times where I've felt like I put in a lot of effort, like with my Instagram or something, like you'll see a little bit of growth first, but then
Yep.
it seems like Instagram is sort of negative on weapons. So you kind of
Yeah.
just like, you'll be like, oh, I'm finally, and then all of a sudden it's like, where did everyone go? What
Right.
happened? Why did I just like lose any interactions I was getting? So it's like,
There's
it's
some
frustrating.
truth to that. Yep.
Yep. I noticed that too because my Instagram was blowing up pretty hard, and then all of a sudden I got like when I got to like 3,000 and just kind of stopped.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird that it just stopped out of nowhere. And
Right.
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you kind of feel like some of the stuff is like, oh, it's definitely necessary. And I admit I'm bad at it. I could probably be doing better, like if I was putting more effort into it. But it's
Well,
kind of like one of those things where you do it for a while and you're like, wow, this is really discouraging that the harder I try,
yeah.
the like
I
less it
get it.
works, right?
Yep.
You're like, wow, I put like twice as much effort, 3 times as much effort this time, and I got
Right.
less results. What happened? Why did that backfire on you? But yeah, I don't want to be like Mr.
Well, I think
Negative
it's
guy over
because
Yeah,
here,
I
but
hear
we were waiting on the you know the big one. That's
yeah,
why.
you.
everyone's waiting for the monster. I mean,
Yeah.
it is super cool, but it's just so
I
clunky.
don't know if it's going to fly off the shelves.
No,
You're going to have people that are going to buy it, but that's the
someone will
thing.
be
And
interested.
I think some variety in offerings is good too.
Yeah.
Different sizes, different blades, different finishes. I know that's tough to do the minimum orders, but
But can
when
you do
there's some
smaller
variety,
numbers? Can you do smaller numbers and higher price?
Maybe. I don't know. That's kind of why I want to maybe try and look around, maybe at a different manufacturer. Some of them, it sounds like they do a little bit lower numbers, and
mhm,
maybe they charge more. If they're, I don't know. I don't want to sacrifice quality, but it seems like there's
right.
quite a few companies now that are doing a good job.
There
I don't know.
are. You just got to ask around and talk to them, make sure you can work with them
Yeah, exactly.
and give them a try on a prototype thing and see what you think. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a bunch of companies doing it now.
Yep.
So there
Dragon
is
skin
options.
Damascus.
I don't know,
Yeah,
but
there
like it's still
is options.
like the other part of me is kind of like, okay, is it worth just being like, all right, I have like a little bit of money sitting there from the last sales. Like, should I just buy my own CNC machine and like try and make one-offs? I don't know. Like, would that be cooler? Is that a horrible idea? I don't know. Like, it's part of me thinks that'd be more fun because I could
It's
make stuff, right?
it's
Just weird
not a
stuff.
horrible idea.
Yeah, we
There's
just had a guy on the
several
podcast
guys doing
last
that.
episode.
Yeah, our
That
last
was he's a
episode was the guy that
dentist.
did that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
I
he
should watch
just
that.
his wife, yeah, his wife bought him like a CNC mill, and then he decided to take it to a whole new level and made some crazy pens, like
Dude,
mechanical pens and
yes.
knives. He has this knife with this huge hollow pivot and these
That's cool.
spherical
And-
bearings and stuff, and he makes it all himself.
And he makes it all himself.
And he's self-taught.
He's self-taught. Excuse me. He's self-taught. He's a dentist by trade, and he does this literally in his garage. And he buys the raw material, of course.
Yeah.
And he buys the actual ball bearings, the individual balls,
Yep.
but he makes the cage.
Damn.
Like he makes his own hardware. Like it's nuts.
That's full committing there. Like,
Yeah, and he doesn't have a
Well,
company.
he had an edge
Like-
because he knew CAD from doing like dentistry.
Yeah, and he doesn't sell knives.
Oh, really?
He's not making like them to sell.
He's not a
It's
knife
a
maker.
hobby.
He's just for a hobby.
Like he legit
It's
won't
ridiculous.
sell them.
Huh.
Even a heat treat oven.
And he bought a heat treat oven, and he did everything. Like he's got everything going on, and he makes pens, mechanical pencils, some other tools to make the knives, and yeah, it's crazy.
It's pretty
that's awesome.
Like,
though.
it's crazy, and the knives are awesome. I tried to buy the one that he lent me to film. I'm like, I'll send you back the pen. Like literally, you just tell me a price, and I'll keep the whole box. Because there was a pen, a pencil, and a knife, and a tool that he uses to assemble the knives because it's a open pivot.
Yep.
And he goes, "Nope, I don't sell them." I'm like, "All right, just the knife." Like I said, I'm going to just ask one more time. I'm going to ship them tomorrow. is there any price? He goes, I can't. No, I'm not gonna sell him. He's only making 12 of those knives. He's made 4
And you'd
already.
be surprised. You don't have to get like crazy expensive CNC machines like the 25 grand one. Like you can, and those aren't even that expensive anymore, but like you can do a lot with manual mill CNC to start. As long as you're like imaginative, you can do a lot of like unconventional stuff. Make nice knives.
This is from Sharknivco, and it's all manual. Before he bought a CNC, and the blade is just like yours.
Oh yeah.
Hidden in, and this is all handmade on manual machines.
He has like like his tolerances between the handle and the blade, like when it's closed, are just, that to me is like one of the coolest features to look at on a knife. Like when you see it closed like that, it's like, wow, that right there is nailing that knife manufacturing there. It's just so cool.
All hand, like it's crazy. So
but,
awesome.
Manual mill, not necessarily the crazy, full blown CNC.
Now he does have a full CNC now, and he's making another model via the CNC, and he's making some of this model. It's basically a retired model, but every once in a while he does a special like auction piece or something on that in the CNC. But yeah, but again, the CNC isn't magic. Yeah, it's not like you just put some raw material in this side, you hit go, and it comes out a knife on the other side. There's still a lot of skill and programming and learning, and there's a lot to it. People kind of discount the guys that use a CNC. I'm like, dude, like, could you use it? Well, no, not me. Well, then shut up.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the product that comes out. Like the product that comes out is usually pretty nice on CNC stuff.
Yeah.
So
Luck is doing his own manual stuff, but he's learning.
When you watch like the Grismo guys talk about like the iterations they do between like just trying to nail like how they carve their logo into the bearing or something. It's like, oh yeah, we're on try 36 and I broke an end mill here, and this one's like they're microscoping stuff to like verify the lines perfectly clean cut at like 1 micron or something. Jesus Christ, guys.
There's definitely a learning curve with the CNC, and
they're mad scientists.
To Dimitro last episode, he says, yeah, dude, it's the material cost kills you, like, because you waste so much at the beginning until you get it kind of dialed in for this part, and then you go to make the next part and you got to waste a bunch of material, and then you dial that in. Like, and he just sent me some pictures the other day of some stuff he's doing, and I'm like, dude. So he's making some, like, he's playing with the blades again and kind of changing some geometry, but it's all just because it's fun. Like, he's literally he's going to make 12 of that model and give them to friends and family, and that's it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, that's kind of why I got into the knives, right? It's just like fun for me, right?
Yep.
Like, it's just kind of like, this is what I want, and I'm going to have them make me one. And if other people like it, I might as well sell it to some people if they have the similar interest as me. So like, if I could learn, obviously it would take me a really long time to learn some of this stuff. I know how to do like CAD and stuff a little bit. I can do it, but I'm not great or efficient. Like, right?
Nope.
But it's just kind of like, okay, well, I could make knives for myself, and then if someone likes one, okay, well, then you can sell it, right?
Yep. Unlike Dimitro, that isn't going to sell them. Even though I tried.
I think, if you're like prospecting that, do it, man. For sure, because people like that even more. They're like, oh, he made it,
Right.
Like, and it turns into a different, like, now you're like getting more of like a handmade knife, right? If you're making them. So,
and if you're interested,
in the custom realm.
Yeah, go ahead and check out our previous episode. You can like hear him and whatnot. And I think like in the description is his Instagram. He's super easy to talk to. If you were interested in finding out more and thinking of starting that process, he would be a good guy to talk to, because he's not a big business. He's just doing it in his garage for fun. And he's super geeky,
Can
nerdy,
he be nice enough
technical,
to like
and be
get
nice
into
enough to
it?
really kind of help you out if you were interested in any of that. So just as an
Yeah.
option.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good thing to hear, just to have some potential resources like that.
Orion Knives checking in late. Yeah, we're going late. We're trying to wrap. We're going to be wrapping up.
Oh,
here.
whoops. Oh my God,
this
it's
is
getting kind of late.
I'm surprised there's still people watching, but I did get to see Dave at the show. He's not. Dave goes back and watches this. He's not one of the people I walked past that I recognized to play Joe West. I actually stopped and talked to Dave, hung out with him for a little bit, got to see the some new stuff that Orion's got coming, which is cool. Some new stuff that he's working on. I guess it's outside of Orion. It was on his wrist, so he's got some cool stuff that he's working on, and he's a smart guy too. So, yeah, it was a good time talking with Dave. So
sweet, can't wait to
so, yeah.
see it, Dave.
There you go. I think we've gone for a while, so we'll let you guys get going. Mike, thanks for coming on. This was super fun. This is probably
I think our longest episode
we've ever had. So
yeah.
Oh, well,
which is kind
glad
of
I could help, guys. Let's go for the
bad,
big one.
So yeah,
it's just because we really, really want the big one.
Yeah, you guys really want
that. And on that note,
that's
Mike,
what she said.
A lot. We do appreciate it, and all the people that hung out with us for like an hour and 45 minutes. Wowzers! Thank you guys.
Have a good night, guys.
Night, everyone.